Mike Brey, Jim Boeheim, and Kevin Keats. Coaches, thanks so much for the time. Coach Brey, I want to start with you. You've been coaching at Notre Dame for 21 years. This is certainly an unprecedented year as a coach, I'm sure, navigating this time. What's something that you learned about your team this offseason?
You know, I think just how together a group they are, because I think for all of us, they've all had to spend even more time together, especially since we came back in the summer. You know, they're kind of isolated amongst themselves. We come to our practice facility, which has become our safe bubble away from students on campus. And, you know, so it really is it's neat to see the togetherness and kind of having each other's back. And I've been excited just to be in the gym with them every day. That's therapy right there. Just to be in the gym, teaching your guys and them being able to work together, that right there is as good as it gets right now. And we're going to hope for more here in about 2 weeks.
Coach Keats, as you return all 5 starters, you got one of the best defensive teams in the ACC, probably in the country. How you guys been training for this next 2 weeks as you get ready for November 25th when the season kicks off?
Well, Booz, thank you. We actually lost 2 guys. We lost Markel Johnson and we lost C.J. Bryce. But I will say the guys who are returning have done a tremendous job. I'm excited about our guys, similar to Mike, just having a chance to get them in the gym, be able to work out together. I like the improvement of a lot of our guys. One in particular who we know is more of a defensive player is Manny Bates, but I think he's made the biggest jump for all of our guys, and he's a guy now that looking to score offensively, and we can throw the ball inside. The rest of our guys have done a tremendous job. We've got 5 freshmen that obviously have to grow up really quick. Reason being is we don't have a scrimmage or exhibition game this year. We'll go right into playing. But I like where we are. We've got a great group of guys with some older veterans and then a bunch of young guys that got to come along quick.
Coach Boeheim, I know you've been at Syracuse for a few years now. I wanted to ask just how challenging this pandemic has been, how different this year has been, and just how the leadership around the ACC has done through this crazy times, this pandemic.
I was coaching here before you were born, Luke. Is that long enough?
That's long. That's long.
You know, it's been obviously for everybody, it's just such a crazy thing. I think when the players got back up here, we started working together. They were so happy to be in the gym, and you know, but it's been 4 months. I mean, 4 months that they've been here, and they've done everything we've asked them to do. They've bonded together. They've hung out together. So in spite of students going down with tests, positive tests, and the community going down, our players have hung in there and just kept going day to day. And obviously they're at a point now where, you know, they need to play some games. They need to play somebody else. And I'm just proud that our league has hung in there and, you know, really just going forward, trying to keep going forward, because in reality, we just don't know when this is going to be over. I mean, we're all hopeful, but we don't know. And I think it's important that the league and the NCAA, everybody has decided, let's try to find our way through this. It's been the right thing for the players. They want to play. I mean, I sometimes hear, you know, are we making these guys play? They're dying to play basketball. They want to be in these games. And I think we're all excited just to get to the season and see what happens. You know, we've got a lot of guys coming back, a lot of veteran guys, a couple young guys that I think can help us. But we're just excited to play. And you know, it doesn't matter what's happened. I mean, once we get to the games, I think the players will be happy.
Coach Boeheim, a player that you probably saw more during quarantine than you normally ever really get to, I would imagine, is your son, Buddy. What can we expect to see from him this year, and what was that time like for you?
Well, it's been good. You know, we have a gym, so he's able to work out through the whole time period when there were no gyms open. So he's better. I mean, he was a shooter coming in as a freshman. He got better last year at putting the ball on the floor, and I think he's improved. I think the one thing I like about our team, especially our backcourt, Joe Girard, who was a freshman, and Buddy, they've gotten better. They've worked hard and they've gotten better, and and that's important. I'm just real proud of how really all of our players have worked individually to get better. And for a couple guys, the time off I think was good. They put on weight. Marek and Barama both put on about 20 pounds, and that was needed. So I think overall, our players have really used this time to get better, and that's all you can ask for as a coach.
Coach Brey, John Mooney was spectacular last year for you guys, as was TJ Gibbs. Who are you going to have on this year's team that can step into those roles and really help contribute?
Well, you know, our junior class, Carlos, has finally grown up and starting to look the part. You know, Hub, Goodwin, Leshevsky, and I would add Cormac Ryan, the transfer from Stanford, who's eligible. When they were freshmen, we threw them to the Wolves in the ACC, and man, did we get our backsides kicked. But second half of last year, the light bulb went on. We went 9-4 the back end of the season to finish 10-10. And now as juniors, after they've been away, they're stronger, they're older, they've played 50-some college games, and they know how to play, and they know how we play. And so I'm excited about that junior class. Jawan Durham is a fifth-year senior now, and his role gets to be more since Mooney is gone. But the junior class is the nucleus, and they've grown and gotten stronger. I think for all of our programs, kids came back strong. They found weight rooms in quarantine when we didn't have them in summer school. And our strength coaches did a great job with the long-distance communication of getting them working out. And I've just been impressed with our bodies since we've been back.
All three of you have lost really important players, John Mooney, Elijah Hughes, C.J. Bryce. But Coach Keats, I know you've had guys follow you from school to school. I don't know, Hargrave to Louisville or Wilmington, maybe to NC State. I want to know how you replace a guy like C.J. Bryce in the backcourt and just what he means to you and the NC State program.
Well, Luke, one of the most important recruits that I ever had was a guy who followed me from George Mason, and his name was Luke Hancock. He was the most outstanding player in the championship game. And Luke, you can pay me later for saying that. But it's you know, I've always been a guy who loves to see the development of different guys, and I think everybody on this set will say the same thing. We've got a good bunch of guys. One of the transfers who came in at the same time as CJ was Devin Daniels. When you look at Devin Daniels was playing really good basketball at the end of the year. You could make an argument he was our best guard the last 4 or 5 games of the season. So he's come a long way. We're going to have to probably, the biggest adjustment we're going to have is replacing Markel Johnson, who 2 of our 3 years led us in assists. And there's a chance, which is very scary, that we're going to have to start a freshman at a position. 2 guys who have really stood out in the freshman class that could play for us is Cam Hayes, who was a top 100 player out of Greensboro Day, and then Shaquille Moore. Both of those guys are really talented guards. But I like our nucleus when you add the fact that we've got some veteran guys and DJ Funderburg and also Braxton Beverly coming back who can make shots. And then a guy that we never really talk about a lot is Thomas Allen, who transferred from Nebraska, who can really score the basketball. So I like the pieces that we have. Those 2 guys were really good, and they're tough to replace, but we'll do it by committee.
Coach Brey, 2020 has been tough, but when I look at your schedule, I feel like Notre Dame is saying, okay, 2020, come at me. I'm going to go all in. Before this year is over, you play Virginia, Duke, Kentucky, Tennessee, Michigan State, Ohio State, Syracuse, Purdue. I mean, you've got a heck of a lineup there. What is the thought when you look at your schedule?
So you're saying I shouldn't opt out. I should hang in there with this, okay?
Keep pushing through. It's 2020, Coach. You're going all in at it.
You know, we all were in scramble mode the last month with scheduling. And my feeling was, why not just go for it? As Jim and Kevin have both said, it's all about our players who have sacrificed, and they've done everything we've asked as far as protocols and staying away from social gatherings. And I said, let's go for it. Now, again, those are bus rides in Michigan State. Those are regional things that worked into the schedule. Tennessee happened to be in Indianapolis, so they're going to come up after a game on December 2nd. But then when you add the ACC games in December, which is Duke at home, Syracuse in the Carrier Dome, and Virginia at home, I don't know if anybody's ever started out like that, but we're going to play them. Our kids are going to be excited to compete. And I wouldn't have done it unless I felt I had a group of kids that can play and can get better and really be competitive with a schedule like that. But, you know, the more it gets closer here, I may start shaking a little bit.
Coach Boeheim, 43 years in the ACC. What are you looking forward to most in this year? And what have you told your guys to get ready for this season?
I think they're just they're so excited about playing. And the league is good. It's good every year. I mean, I don't get into the argument about which league is the best, but we've had the best results in the NCAA tournament of any league in the country the last 10, 15, how many years you want to go back. It's as good this year as I think I've seen it. We have 9, 10, 11 teams that can be tournament teams, and you're going to find out right away. You're going to just see how good you are, how good you can become. And we're fortunate. We got 6 of our first 7 guys back, even though we lose a great player, Elijah Hughes. We got 6 guys back that they're kind of looking at those 15 shots a game that Elijah took last year and thinking they're going to get some of those. So I think they're really excited about it. I mean, we've got. And we're at Virginia, at North Carolina, at Duke. We've got all those teams at NC State. At Louisville, we got most all the tough teams on the road, and some of them back here. So it's a great challenge, and we're just looking forward to it, and hoping that, like everybody else, that we can figure a way through this, keep our players healthy, and get them to play some basketball games this year. I think it's really important for the players to play games. They're really hungry to get in the gym and play against somebody.
Coach Boeheim, to follow up there, you got to think you guys have a little bit of a competitive advantage. I know you think every year you go out there and run a little man-to-man, make sure you got some principles together. But having not been able to practice as much, even though it's a long preseason, you got to feel good about having the defense locked down. You know exactly what you're going to do every year.
Well, the good thing, unfortunately, you have new players every year, so you got to teach them whether you're playing man-to-man or zone. The good thing is we have 6 of our first 7 guys back, so they have a good familiarity with it and with our offense. And last year we were a really good offensive team. We were not a good defensive team last year. That's why we struggled. But I felt we got a little better at the end of the year, and I think we got stronger as a team this year. Like Coach Brey said, a lot of lifting, and I think we're going to be a better defensive team this year, which is really important. But it doesn't matter what defense you play, you got to work at them, and it takes a while sometimes for the defense to come together. But the extra practice time we've had this year is really unusual. I mean, we never worked on defense prior to the regular practice starting. We worked on individual stuff, but this year, with the 4 weeks of practice, we did work on 5-on-5 during the early weeks of September. So I think that's helped us.
Coach Keats, I got to take this a different direction because you and I have a few things in common. The main one is that you are a shoe guy and I am a big shoe fan as well. So it got me a little bit in quarantine. I'm wondering, did you get online shopping? Are there any big purchases that when you had nothing else to do and you're not able to practice that you had to buy some new shoes?
I'm struggling right now. Because I can't go into a store and buy some shoes. And I was in a big argument with my wife, who also loves to order online, and we were trying to figure out who gets the most boxes every day with shoes in it. And I think I'm winning right now. And that's been, I'm like you, that's been therapy for me. when I'm able to get out, and it's weird because I go to so many unique places in our league and get a chance when we get there the day before. You may see me at the local mall shopping because I love shoes. That's what I do. So it's been a big adjustment. I'm trying to figure out, what I can do. I'm not going into a store. I know that that's very risky at this time, but I'll continue to online shop.
Hey, Coach Keats, the new Kyries just came out, so get those for the Christmas gifts. Very, very nice colorways on the new Kyries.
Well, listen, Booze,
but also follow up, Coach.
You're lucky,
Oh,
Coach. You're really lucky. My wife has a designated driver for Amazon. So he's assigned just to our house. He comes
That's
at
like
least
me,
twice,
Coach Boeheim.
morning and night. Once a day isn't enough. Morning and
Coach,
night.
Coach, my wife is probably watching this, so you just got me in trouble just now, so you know that.
Hey, guys, I know my Uber Eats driver by name already, so I'm with you on that one. Coach Keats, I wanted to ask you about the guys. What have the guys done away from the court, away from the game, to stay close as a close-knit group? I know you got a lot of guys coming back. Guys are hungry to play, of course, and get back on the court. But away from the court, did they play video games? What were they able to do?
Well, Booze, that's a great question. I think Coach Boeheim talked about it, and even Coach Brey. During this time, these guys have been able to come together. And I think for the first time since I've been here, our guys have a great relationship, both on the court and off the court. It's a little tricky, and I know you guys talked about it in the early segment, is we've encouraged them actually off the court, try not to gather so much. Obviously with the coronavirus, and then obviously contact tracing has been one of the toughest things that we've been able to deal with. But we have a great relationship. I think our guys understand each other better. It seems to me that we have better chemistry than we've had in the past, and that's probably because we're all going through the same thing at the same time.
All of you have incredible home court advantages, but I'm going to direct this at Coach Brey because I had to sit through a 5 overtime game up there in South Bend, getting my butt kicked. I want to ask if you've done anything to kind of prepare your guys for not having fans and just how unique this is going to be, pumping sound into practice. Anything you're doing unique this year?
The only thing we've done, and that was a wild night. Actually, Kevin was down the road in that one too, and a good memory. But I think they all know. I think for me, no question. I think they all know that we're not going to have fans, but their parents are going to be able to get to games, hopefully. I know it will be here at our place. We may get to 1,000 people in our arena. We're hoping to try and do that here, but we'll see how it is. But just like, they said, just to play, all we need to do is play now. And I don't think it's going to matter to these guys that there's nobody in the building. That may have been a factor when they were hearing about it in the summer. But after this long preseason, as Jim said, they just want to play somebody else. And it's going to be just really therapeutic for all of us to just play. And certainly we're going to put a good product on TV. It's just the surrounding noise is going to be a little bit different.
It certainly is going to be different, but you brought up something there that I think is interesting, and it's when everybody is able to get back on the court for the first time. Coach Keats, when you think about the emotion of that, I know you can't imagine what it'll be like until you actually get there, but what do you think is going through the players' heads just as this season they appreciate more and more, I'm sure, every opportunity that they get?
Yeah, I think we all went through the same thing, and if you played college basketball, I want everybody to think back, and I think it was around March 11th or 12th. If you look back at what everyone had to go through, we were first told that the ACC tournament was going to be canceled. And then shortly after that, probably the next couple of hours, we found out that there wasn't going to be an NCAA tournament. I think the excitement of finally getting the opportunity to play outweighs everything. I think all coaches and players were bagging and hoping that college football was able to go off the way it has done. And I think it's a great thing for us because the excitement of college basketball. I know people are going to say there are no fans. It's different. But I think when you get that basketball and you get the competition of playing against some other people, I think you're going to understand that college basketball is back. We play in the best conference in college basketball. The excitement is going to be great on opening night.
Coach Brey, I wanted to ask how have the guys been acclimated to the campus life? I know there's probably less kids on campus, maybe some, obviously the social distancing. How have your guys, your team, been able to adjust and maneuver through that?
You know, we've had a different dynamic. You know, most of our guys stay on campus in the dorms till their senior year. That's the Notre Dame experience. But given the virus, everyone was able to move out of the dorms. And so I have everybody off campus, which has kind of been new territory for our program, underclassmen off campus. Now it's been safer because the dorms are still open, and, you know, that seems to be a little bit of a haven for the virus, quite frankly. So they've all kind of been able to get their privacy. I think the young guys, you remember the first time you get to move off campus as a young guy, you think you're the man, right, when you got your place. So our young guys have really liked their, right? They've really liked their independence. And I give them credit, they've handled it pretty darn maturely, doing that. They have a place to go back and do their thing. And then they come to our practice facility, and that's our bubble. You know, we're in there, our women's program's in there, and it's kind of the men's and women's program in the bubble. Now, we can't wait for our students to leave next week. Exams are next week. And God bless our students. We need to get them all. I want them out. We need to get them all out of here so we can have our real bubble here in South Bend.
Coach Boeheim, I wanted to ask, have you had to practice anything crazy with these protocols? Yelling at players, trying to get them going with a mask on? What's been the craziest part of this for you?
Well, the biggest thing we're doing is spacing. We're trying to get to where we wouldn't have to quarantine. We do not let our players, we wear chips, so we monitor how many minutes the players are near each other. Coaches, I'm never within a player more than a minute during our whole practice. So we're doing a lot of things from 10, 12 feet or more away with the coaching staff. And we're monitoring not as much scrimmaging because we don't want our players to get too many minutes together. And even when they go back to their apartments, they have their own bedroom and their own bathroom so that they're not involved. And that's been difficult, but it's something they've bought into. And I think it's helped us in terms of spacing and learning things. It's a little different on the court because you're not coming together. We have no meetings, we have no film sessions, which they probably like. But so we're not really as close to each other as we would like to be, but I think it's better because we are showing that we have distance and that one guy might not have any effect on another guy because he's not next to a guy for more than 8 or 10 minutes during the whole day. So that's been an emphasis that we've really worked hard on in terms of what we're doing. And I think the players have just done a great job. And the one thing they did differently this year when we got back in July and August, they started to play golf. You know, people said go outside and play golf. So we had about 7 or 8 guys, 3 guys that had never played golf, out playing golf. So that was their activity. That was their main activity when they weren't in the gym, is playing golf. And then the video games, they play them in their room against somebody who's in the other room. So, you know, it's worked out. The players have done an unbelievable job with it, really unbelievable job.
Coach Boeheim, COVID has obviously been one of the main focuses over the last couple of months in our country, but also the social unrest because of the fight for social justice in our country. What are some of the conversations that you had with your players about everything that happened in our world and maybe what they would like to see going forward?
Well, the main thing that our players got behind, and I think all the players in the country did, is let's make sure we vote. Make sure we all register to vote. All of our players registered to vote. They helped other athletes to register. Our whole team voted. I think 90-some% of the athletic department players at Syracuse University, players from all sports, voted. And I think that if you look at the results of the election, young people absentee ballots. A lot of that are young people, college students, voting for the first time. So I think that was number one. Number two is COVID the last 2 months has taken everything over, really, all conversations. But there were many conversations prior to the COVID taking over about what we would do as a team, what we're going to wear on our jerseys, how we're going to react in the community. We work with the Boys and Girls Club, so we've always done that. We're continuing to do that in the inner city. I think it's important for our players to be involved, not to just wear something on their jersey, but to actually be involved in the community, go into the Boys and Girls Club, talk to the kids there. And that's what we've always done. That's what we're going to continue to do. But certainly, COVID has taken all of our lives over, I think, when you really look at it closely and honestly.
I know that there have certainly been a lot of difficult conversations that hopefully continue to lead to change that you all have had with your student athletes. Coach Brey, I want to go a different direction with this question because something big just happened in Notre Dame with an upset over Clemson. And since Clemson's not in this group, I can ask you about it. But a win like that, even though it's not basketball, it's football, it certainly gets a buzz around campus, I'm sure, even in the midst of COVID. What were you doing for the game? Were you locked in watching? And what have you heard since then?
He was out there at the 50-yard line, jumping up and down with the foot with the.
Did you?
That's what I was about to say. I saw him out there running.
Didn't you see me chest bump Brian Kelly at the 50-yard line? That was me. No, what an amazing night. I'll say this, you know, we only have 50% of our stadium. Never have I sat at a game with space on both sides of me in Notre Dame Stadium and stay to the end, and then nobody comes to talk to you because you have a mask on and social distancing. I really enjoy watching our football team play with only 15% of the stadium full, but what a special night for the Notre Dame football kids, and I know if we had to do it all over again, maybe we would try and stop the field storming, but anytime football does well, you try and ride the momentum of it.
Coach Brey, this last one, not a question, but more of a plea for help. Jordan Cornette, our guy here, has been walking around 201 on his chest as the all-time blocks leader in Notre Dame history. My plea is we got to do whatever we can to get Jawan Durham some more block shots. We got to keep it rolling, do whatever we got to do.
Well, you know what? Jawan's going to start, and now I'm going to up his minutes to 34 minutes a game because we got to try and knock Cornette out of there. I know he wears that badge proudly, and LaFonso Ellis got injured a couple times out here, or I don't know if he'd have that record, but God bless him. I know he's working with the network, and he did do a great job for me here as a senior captain. And he was one of those guys that blocked shots and never knocked it out of bounds.
We need to review the game tapes there. Go back and find one for two for LaFonso. That would solve that problem.
We could.
I'm in, Coach.
I was going to say that's my go-to thing every time I sit next to Jordan Cornette is to praise him for being that. So if he gets past, I don't know what I'm going to talk about anymore. There's a lot of good things I could say. Coaches, thanks so much for your time. We really enjoyed the conversation and hope you all continue to stay safe, and we'll see you soon on the court, hopefully.
Thank you.
Take care.